Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. There were some requests about my cooking and homemaking routines as a working mom, and to be honest, it's not much different than what most people do. I make sure there's always food on the table and a comfortable home to live in. I'll take you through some of the meals I made this week and how I managed to get it all done. So let's put on our apron and get into the kitchen. I'm SB and this is SB Living. A soup is something I make most weeks, and for many reasons. You may have heard me say this before, but I take great pains to make sure I use up the food I have first before restocking. And a soup makes good use of any vegetables I have in the fridge. I also know that most soups are cooked in under an hour, which means I can make it anytime during the week. The soups I make are usually a mix of vegetables and beans, what my family calls Minestra, similar to a general minestrone, which in that case just means a big minestra or a big soup. It has a base of garlic, onion, carrot, and celery. Then you just add in your beans, which I make sure I soaked the night before. I won't lie, I often forget to do this, which is why I always make sure I have a few cans of cannellini beans in the pantry. And then the pot is filled with water, a little seasoning, and cooked until everything is soft and flavorful. I do like to add dark greens into the soups. Sometimes it's just a handful of herbs, but this time I have lots of Swiss chard, which has been growing like crazy this year, and it's just a matter of ripping them up by hand, no chopping necessary, and dropping them into the pot. Once it's wilted, it's done and ready to be served for dinner. When we're having a soup like this as our meal, I like to have some lemon and olive oil on the table for drizzling over each bowl, and of course some bread on the side to dip and mop up the soup. Are you a bread mopper? If you know what I mean, I bet you are. Let me know in the comments if you also enjoy your soup like we do. I don't bake each day, but I do try and bake something on the weekends for the week ahead. I still get intimidated by fancy cake and cookie recipes and lean more towards simple and easy. I do a lot of cooking by feel, but you can't do that so much with baking, so when I find something that's straight and to the point, I stick with it. This chocolate cake is one of those recipes. There was a time when I was fascinated with World War II Ration-Era recipes, ones that made do with what you had and still provided healthy and nutritious meals. That's my kind of cooking, and so making this cake without eggs or milk was really interesting, but also took me back to how my grandparents would cook. Sometimes a cake was just some flour and sugar and some olive oil with a little lemon on top, and those were the best cakes to have. As you saw, this cake is mostly flour, sugar, salt, baking soda, cocoa powder, and some vinegar. It tastes pretty good, and with a dusting of confectioner's sugar, it goes down well with a cup of tea or milk. So when the kids and I come home after a day of work and school, this cake will be waiting for us. I don't really meal plan either, which so many times I'm asked how I manage to cook dinner every night considering I'm out of the house for 10 hours a day. It's not that I don't know what I'm going to make, it's just that I have a few combinations I rotate through that I know my family enjoys. I call them meal formulas, and I put them all in a little download that you can get in the description. Essentially, I ask myself two questions. What ingredients do I have on hand, and how do I want to cook tonight? For this meal, the answers were chicken and a whole bunch of tomatoes, and not much. Sometimes I just want to cook everything in one pan like I'm preparing for this meal right now. I have a huge cast iron skillet I use very often for my one pan meals. I browned up some chicken drumsticks after seasoning them with some olive oil, salt, pepper, and oregano, and then arranging tomatoes that I've cut in half all around and underneath the chicken. I add a few cloves of garlic and some chunks of onion, and then put it all in the oven for 45 minutes or so. It's not a lot of prep work, but when it comes out of the oven, the tomatoes are sweet and roasted, and the chicken is extra crispy and flavorful. Each person has a bed of rice in their plate, and then pile the chicken and roasted tomatoes right on top. Another meal down in about an hour, and another dinner we get to enjoy together as a family. When there's a real time crunch, I don't mind going for shortcuts. I keep portion-sized ground meat in the freezer, and the ground turkey is the remaining portion from a previous meal where I made turkey meatballs. These meatballs on this night won't be as glamorous. In fact, they aren't going to be mixed with anything except with some seasoning. The simple reason is because, well, I ran out of breadcrumbs, but that won't stop me making them. They'll be air fried and then dropped into a pot of vodka sauce that has already been prepared and slowly bubbling on the stove. I could have easily said, oh well, I don't have the breadcrumbs, so it won't be that good. Let's order some delivery and call it a night. And believe me, we enjoy some good old-fashioned takeout or pizza delivery every once in a while. But on this night, I still wanted to put something together because cooking is my love language and it's important to me. And I say, don't compromise on what makes you and those around you happy. I also don't get down on myself either. There are some items I know won't be able to make myself regularly. Ravioli is one of them. Since my time is limited during the week and I don't get to do everything on my to-do list on the weekends, making homemade ravioli just doesn't happen often. And that's okay. I'm very grateful for having a stash of spinach raviolis in the freezer to pull out for emergency meals like this one. You may even have the same stash at home. Let me know if you do. This whole meal was done in about 20 minutes and everyone finished their plate. So you know what? It's a win. Click the next video on the screen or the playlist underneath it for more content like this one, and even better, subscribe, like, and hit the bell. See you next time.